Hello, good morning. I woke up and this morning I began to notice this harsh voice inside my head, which I recognized. Previously, before I began to understand the ideas of consciousness and unconsciousness, I never used to understand why I was the way that I was. And I felt stuck. I felt like the way that I was is just how I was. So I noticed this voice, and it was quite harsh on the way that I was, I guess, portraying myself in the videos, and also the videos themselves, and wanting myself to portray myself in a certain way. And I started to notice this voice, and and I just listened, and then I just said to myself, Alex, you're being quite hard on yourself. There's a lot of construction work going on behind me. I don't know what's going on. I think someone's cutting their bush, so I hope you can hear me. But I said to myself, Alex, you're being really hard on yourself. And then I remembered the inner critic. It was something I had never really researched, but I remember people talking about it, so I began to research it this morning. I began to look into it, and it was quite an emotional thing, because I realized how much my inner critic had ruled my life. I'm a very sensitive person. I hold on to things, and I'm sensitive to criticism and judgment and all these things. So throughout my life, I would have picked up people's opinions and judgments and ideas of what is socially acceptable and what behaviors are okay and not okay. And then if I were to do something which I've explained before is out of the norm, or like not okay, I would basically feel inadequate, and it would ruin my self-worth. I would feel the guilt and all of these things, which is a vicious cycle. I believe it sort of led me down that destructive path of matching and attracting things which were of a low vibration, because I had a low self-worth. My self-esteem was low. I felt like things were wrong with me, and I didn't understand myself. I didn't understand why I was the way that I was. And I'm saying all this, but like on the surface, I may have seemed fine. And even now, you could talk to me, and you can talk to anyone really, and you don't understand what is going on, like all of the unconscious feelings that people have about themselves, all of the things that they're struggling with. You don't really know, because on a surface level, it's hard to tell. But I started researching into the inner critic this morning, and it was really eye-opening, because I began to realize that like a lot of the things which I'm letting go of, I am not my inner critic. My inner critic is the thing which would have stopped me from making videos. It would have protected me from failure. It protected me from making mistakes. It protected me from being judged. So something that I need to be proud of myself is the fact that I'm talking about all of these things, all of the mistakes that I've made, is a way of me showing myself that it's okay. That it's okay that I made those mistakes, like, and those mistakes do not define me. And I can actually let go of those mistakes and just be the person that I am now. Just choose to be the loving witness for all of my mistakes, to learn from them, and then to, yeah, through compassion, just begin to understand that I'm a malleable being and I deserve to be loved, and I deserve to love people in the fullest form. I don't need to hold on to past stories, past judgments, past opinions, and fit in to what is socially acceptable. A friend told me recently that he has an anxiety telling him that people don't like him. He's a very confident guy, and he's quite loud and he's quite funny, and he said that he has anxieties that people don't like him or whatever. And I was saying to him that this is something that I noticed, that previously when I used to walk into a room and I used to assess the vibe of the room, and I would then be the room. So I would I would be very receptive, and then I would just become like everyone else in the room to not stand out. And this is what our mind does in order to keep us safe. It's the same thing that we had to do when we went into school in order to keep us safe. We had to be a certain way. We were like looking at everyone, thinking, like analyzing everything, like, okay, this is okay, this is not okay, sort of thing. And it was like calculating our personality, basically. And now I just intuitively act however I want to act, and I am aware of my mind, which tells me stories like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But I can promise you that that mind begins to quiet, because as you start to act like your true self intuitively, you start to do weird movements and whatever, or you just act yourself. You don't try to be anything. Your mind, which thinks it's keeping you safe, once it realizes that it's no longer keeping you safe by exhibiting that behavior because you are safe, you leave that social interaction feeling like, oh, I'm not dead, I'm okay, no one's judged me. Even if they did, they're just, the part of them that's judging me is actually just judging themselves. So you need to have empathy for people who judge you. And then you're just like, I'm beginning to grow. I'm beginning to understand myself a little bit better. I'm beginning to become into who I actually am, rather than who other people think I should be, or being what is socially acceptable. I think something that I wanted to talk about is one of the things that I wanted to talk about was my journey into modeling. Growing up, I always got told that I was attractive. I actually, it's very strange. And talking about this, I'm very aware that it sounds to people that, like, I don't know. I've heard people joke about this, like, oh yeah, it must be so difficult, sort of thing. But obviously, with good things come negative things. I I began to sort of base my worth off it, and uh, I didn't really feel like my personality or other things about me were on the same level, sort of thing. So there's this sort of imbalance. And I got scouted to be a model when I was like 16, and then I started doing that. And at that age, I was completely unaware of everything. Like, I had not learned anything psychology based. I had never gone to therapy. I had, I, I was fresh and so naive to everything. Like, I was 16 years old, so I went into it, and I walked in, and they were like very, very complimentary, but then also they would also be very critical. So they would say, you need to go to the gym more. The one thing that really stood out to me that I remember, it's a core memory from it, was they said to me, because I was shy, they would say to me, what do you like with your friends? And I would say, what do you mean? And they were like, well, are you a little bit more like arrogant? Are you a little bit more sort of like sort of thing like that? Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I can't even remember what I said, but they basically pointed out things about my the way that I look physically, and the way that I portray myself in my personality, that needed to change. I needed to be more arrogant, more confident. I needed to be more muscular. Uh, I needed to learn how to look in a certain type of way, and it was all of this. Some people didn't react to it in the same way that I did. I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about the whole the whole label of labeling myself as sensitive. But yeah, that part of my life was strange, because I started doing that stuff, and then I was like too embarrassed to like tell people that I was doing it. I wasn't proud of it, and I would be on social media, and people who were like in modeling would like, I saw this TikTok like years like after, of this guy, and he was like, my dream of becoming a model, like, and he goes into London and he sleeps like on the streets in order to get casted for things. And I was like, what? Like, that was never me. I never dreamt of doing modeling. I never loved doing it, and I just sort of like did it, and it became this really toxic experience for myself. Like, it just wasn't really it wasn't really what I actually needed. I began to place expectations on myself to be a certain type of way, to portray myself in a certain type of way, to look in a certain type of way. And slowly and slowly, I was letting go of all the things that made me me, which is what I'm returning back to now. This is why I'm doing all of this. I'm understanding, so then I can, through awareness, let go of the beliefs, the thoughts, the experiences, all of these things, through compassion, understand these things, so then I can rewrite it. I can let go of the little beliefs inside my mind by shining a light on them, and then realize, oh, you were the thing that was holding me back. But in relation to my inner critic, the modeling industry did not help. It definitely fed into my perfectionism, and it it gave me all sorts of ideas about how I'm supposed to be and how I'm supposed to portray myself. I used to like not go out unless I looked in a certain type of way, or I wouldn't post photos unless I looked in a certain type of way. And yeah, I don't know. I honestly wonder like how people do modeling and just like completely emotionally disconnect from it. Like it feels like such a personal thing, and if you don't know yourself and you don't have that high self-worth and high self-esteem, and it really can affect you. So that's been my sort of, sorry, that was like the largest fly. It really can affect you. But yeah, that was my experience with it. By being aware of my inner critic, I realized that the stories he tries to tell me are not me. And the reason why I say that so confidently is because I noticed that our unconscious is what births our reality. I think that's what it is. It's like our unconscious habits and our just habits in general, our thoughts, our beliefs, are what births our reality. It's what creates our reality around us. So obviously, if we're unaware of that, we believe, because we see it, we experience it, we feel it, that we are the way that we are, and this is just how it is. My mum used to say to me, Alex, you're so hard on yourself. And then instead of me then understanding, okay, I need to shine awareness on this and then rewrite that script in order to be birthed into a new reality, because then I'm experiencing and feeling and attracting differently, I then told myself, oh, I'm just hard on myself. And that's just the way that I am. I'm just hard on myself. So she identified it, which is great, but it was like I needed tools to come out of it. It wasn't enough for me to just shine awareness on it. And this is like why I feel so passionate about psychology, why I feel so passionate about spirituality and healing, and I see the effects of it. I see the transformations that happen within myself and other people. And as I begin to learn all of these different things, I don't want to keep them all for myself. I realize that they're gifts, because I believe that God provides or puts obstacles in front of you in order for you to learn how to jump over them, so then you can not keep them for yourself, but to give them to the world. And that may not be through a YouTube channel, that may just be through general life, and it definitely has been. Never in my life have I ever had, actually, I'm going to say that throughout my life, people have always sort of come to me for advice. People who didn't normally come for me for advice would sometimes come to me for advice and be like, oh, like, thank you, like that. I liked your perspective, sort of thing. Like your perspective helped me. And this was before I started learning about all of these things. But now, since I've poured myself into this compassionate space where I begin to understand myself, I begin to passionately want to understand other people. Why would I want to understand and uplift myself if I didn't want to understand and uplift other people? And healing, therapy, that's the obvious route for me. But at the moment, I am healing my inner critic by shining awareness on it, and allowing myself to create, which is this, allowing it to become whatever it becomes, following my heart and allowing it to just be how it is. And who knows what it's going to become then, because then I'm guided by a feeling, and I believe that God communicates to us through our feelings. We shouldn't ignore them. We should notice all of them, embrace all of them, not just the positive ones, not just the joyful, accepting, loving ones, but also the fear, the anxiety, all of that. I said to someone the other day that fear is a portal to birth you into a new reality. Be conscious of your fears. Pay attention to your fears. I don't know if I told this before, but he was quite a socially anxious character. He was quite introverted. My brother told me that he in school didn't really socialize much. And I said, my brother was like, oh, like, what are you gonna do at uni? Like, what are you gonna do after? And I was like, and I just said to him, I butted in, and I pushed my ideas onto him. I butted in, and I was just like, don't even think about that. Don't even think about anything. Just notice how you feel, like, at the moment. And I said to him, I was like, I think you'd be a really talented public speaker. I think you should do that. And he was like, no, I can't do that. And it was amazing. I was like noticing all of these, oh no, I can't do that. I'm so this, I'm so that. So he had all of like these beliefs. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, you don't even understand what I'm seeing right now. Like, I am seeing in you, like, a journey. Like, it's beautiful. Like, all of these I can'ts, and it's amazing. Like, I'm so grateful that you've told me this, because you have no idea the journey that you're about to have once you start to conquer these things. Like, the joy and the euphoria that you're going to get after overcoming the I can'ts and the self-limiting beliefs. And I said to him, you would be such a talented public speaker, or you'd be such an impactful public speaker. Nobody really cares about a really personable, confident public speaker that's always just been confident. Like, they do, obviously. Like, that is great. They do. That is great. All power to those guys. Love to them. We don't need to put them down. But there's something about someone who overcomes their fear and teaches other people how to. Or make that part of your story. You know, public speaking, you could literally just teach the crowd how to public speak, or your journey and learning how to public speak, and turn it into a fear thing, like how to overcome your fears, and that would inspire a lot of people. And he felt good about it. Like, he was like, yeah, like, and he started repeating it back to me. I could tell his energy started to shift a little bit, and I believe that, like, I planted somewhat of a seed in his mind. But sometimes I wish I just had like a business card, and I was like, I know I'm still a student, obviously, but going back to what I was saying about having like these gifts and then not wanting to keep them for myself. Like, when I transform, I realize I want to help other people transform, and I don't want to shove it into your face and like be like, oh, you need to do that. But if I can plant a positive seed inside someone's mind and then say to them, like, you don't need to act on this now, but I'm telling you that there is a way out of how you feel. Like, there is. I promise. it just, yeah, you just have to apply yourself to it, and I promise you it will change. You're not stuck. Well, you are stuck at the moment. You're experiencing feelings of stuck, but it's only temporary, and those experiences are not you. You are the constant. You are the loving awareness of all of those things. Because as you begin to shift and transform, you are no longer realizing that you are those things. So you were never those things. You're something else. You're the one witnessing all of it. You're the one experiencing all of it. You're the one feeling all of it. So noticing the I can'ts and turning them into I can is probably the most beautiful and amazing life path you could ever go down, really. That's what I believe. Yeah. Thank you so much for giving me the space to talk, for providing me a safe place where I can express myself, for all of my inadequacies, which yeah, it's funny because my mind said that, and then I was like going to not say it, but then I just thought, shall I just say what my mind is telling me? All of my imperfections, and all of the things that I love about myself, and all the things that I'm grateful for, and all the things that I'm proud of, and just allowing myself to be my full self. So thank you for giving me this space to do that. I'm so grateful for it, and it's completely changed my life. So yeah, thank you, and I hope you have an amazing day. And I'm gonna do whatever I want today. I'm just gonna have a really good time, and I'm probably gonna dance, put on some music right now, dance, go for a run, and enjoy my day because I deserve it, and so do you. Love you. Goodbye.